What's up, you guys? We're back with some Week 11 NFL picks. This is Beat the Odds NFL edition on Odds Checker. Before we get started, like usual, how did we do last week, guys?
2-2. We split it. I'm okay with it. I didn't get the pick of the week because the Bucks decided to do whatever that was yesterday against Washington. So, but other than that, not bad. I was really liking my Patriots pick. So as I was saying on the pre-show, so that made me feel a little bit better about the weekend. But I'll take 2-2.
Yeah, personally, I did terrible. Cleveland, I was on the opposite side of you on that New England game. That was just a crap show. I don't understand. I said Cleveland and the Raiders are the most well-rounded teams in the AFC, and I paid for it in the wallet book, everything. There were scissors on the field. Deshaun Jackson just like his brain broke 5 times on the same play. That was bad.
Oh, my God.
Denver,
that's a piece of art.
It looks like Teddy Bridgewater's like point shaving. He didn't even attempt the tackle, just like waved the guy on as he took the ball into the end zone. That was bad. The one pick that I hit, 1 and 3, was Minnesota at the Chargers, just because we were right about the Chargers' run defense is just it might be the worst of all time.
Without Katelyn.
I was wrong. I was wrong. I should have known, but that's okay. Well, let's get into our picks for this week. And as always, picks of the week at the end of this video.
Exactly. There's always another week. There's always another week. We can just build it back, So I'll start with actually the team that I was really liking last week, and I still like it. I'm going to go with the Patriots -6 at the Falcons. I think the Patriots are a team ascending. They've had some easier matchups their defenses has, but they've had some tough ones, and I think they play well against a lot of different units. This Falcons team, I was higher on them last couple of weeks. This last week was pretty rough. They are a hodgepodge unit. They are trying to, it's bubble gum and toothpicks trying to piece together that offense. It's just the Cordero Patterson and Kyle Pitts are two. It's a running back and tight end. They're receivers right now. But I really like where this Patriots team is going. I think the offense is ascending. I think Mac Jones is improving every week. I know also people are like making MVP talk. I don't know. But it's like, okay, but no, he's playing very well for a rookie. The offensive line's getting healthier. Trent Brown's back. I think this Patriots team is really every weekend better and better. So I'm going to keep taking them until hopefully it stays under a touchdown at -6.
Did you see where they're at for like the power rankings, essentially? Like Vegas power rankings? They're second team in the AFC right now. It's them and the Bills. They're ahead of the Titans, and the Titans are probably going to get the 1 seed. Like they're interesting. They were also like a top 8 team overall right now, just in terms of like how much confidence they're getting. So
we on a different show better. we had to rank our AFC NFC like power rankings like 2 weeks ago, and the AFC was just such a we threw our hands up, kind of like trying to figure out. I had the Patriots 3rd, and even when we were doing the exercise, it was like I didn't really have to talk myself into it. I was like, hey, there's some pieces here. It's maybe looks smart what's happened the last couple of weeks, but I do think that this team is they're doing good stuff. They really are.
Yeah. I am going to fade this team because I just do not believe their record at this point. I am taking the New Orleans Saints +1.5 at the Philadelphia Eagles. I just don't believe it. They shouldn't have beat the Broncos. I'm not going to keep losing money on this Eagles team. I'm going to wait for it to get picked back up. I understand the Saints, aren't the greatest team. They did have some weird stuff happen. Like they were trying to go for a 2-point conversion. They get a penalty. It ends up pushed back 10 yards. I still trust Sean Payton. It doesn't really matter kind of who they have at skill guys, I would say, in terms of just being able to get a baseline of points, especially when you could still throw in all the Taysom Hill stuff in there. So I would say, with that offensive line, that defense is solid too. Dennis Allen's been doing a great job with that defense all year. I think as long as you can get this Eagles defense, you could score points on this Eagles defense, you should be fine. Because that's the big thing. It's the Eagles defense is they play probably the most stock defense in the league. Sean Payton should be able to eat that up. So if you're giving me Sean Payton as an underdog against a stock defense, come on, man. He's been doing this for 15 years. Give it to me.
Yep. And not a very talented unit.
I'm with you, but We got to put some more respect on Jalen Hurts' name.
He has been doing better. He has been doing better.
He has.
Look, I've lost a lot of money, and that's one of the lessons that I've learned is that Jalen Hurts is better than I thought he was.
I'll keep praising Devontae Smith. I'll tell you what, he is an absolute stud. So it's cool that some box score stuff is matching what he's been doing. Because we'll get to this one later. But for my next pick, I'll go with the Panthers minus 2.5 hosting Washington. Even with Washington coming up with the win against the Bucs, it's if you watch it, they were, I think, 11 for 19 on third down. They were generating negative EPA per play, expected points added per play on first and second down, and then 0.75 EPA per play on third and fourth down, which not very sustainable. So, especially this Panthers team that is extremely aggressive on third down, on passing downs. It's really one of the more fun things to watch this year has been this unit now that's gotten healthier. I think the Washington team, they try on offense. I mean, they're trying. They got Tyler Heineke. And it's a hodgepodge unit. They're trying. They do some interesting stuff, but it's maxed out as far as talent-wise. And this defense, even though I'd say they played okay yesterday, but they've been gashed throughout this entire year. So I could see Cam Newton getting a little more reps with the Panthers. I could see their defense giving them issues, and it's less than a field goal right now, minus 2.5. Panthers at home. They're going to be a little hyped up seeing, number one back there. So I'm going to go with the Panthers here.
And the other thing, too, is that defensive coordinator, Phil Snow, I mean, he's seen spread stuff before. Yes. And Washington low-key, like, a lot of people don't watch Washington play because they've been very bad recently. So it's perfectly reasonable to not watch Washington play.
I get it.
They are one of the more spread teams in the league. Like, Ricky Seals-Jones is their tight end. He was a wide receiver at A&M. When he lines up in the backfield, he's still in a wide receiver stance. Like, it's very weird to see that happen in the NFL. They play some, like, 4 open, like, no one attached to the formation, probably more than anyone. I know a lot of people talk about how, like, Buffalo or Kansas City are kind of like glass cannons in that way, where it's like, they're just a spread team. They can't really do much outside of those type of formations. Washington's right up there with them. So, like, Phil Snow should be able to have a beat on that type of a defense, too. My next pick, Miami, minus 3 at the New York Jets. So this is my assumption, right? This is basically my logic here. All right, Mike White. They said, Mike White said I should have been the first overall pick. Man, settle down.
He actually said that? I didn't see that quote.
Yes.
Oh.
He was like, if you would have asked me, like, I should have been the first overall pick in the draft. That was before that was before this last game. And then all the reports came out, and they were like, hey, if Mike White plays well in this upcoming game, like, hey, he might be the starter, and like Zach Wilson might end up on the bench for a while. Hey, guess what happened? Mike White didn't have a great game. So I'm assuming exactly. So I'm assuming Zach Wilson's coming back. When Zach Wilson was the quarterback of the Jets, they were the worst football team in the NFL. So I'm just going in with the assumption the Jets are the worst football team in the league this week with Zach Wilson back in, because they're going to make that switch because Mike White didn't have a great game. And at the end of the day, Zach Wilson was the second overall pick. You're going to get him the reps unless you don't have a reason to not give him the reps. Yes. So Miami, I'm not necessarily sold on really that offense. I mean, that game on Thursday Night Football was so weird. They just gave Baltimore, like, cover 0 looks, and Baltimore had no answers for it. They threw like one screen against that defense, and then Hollywood Brown dropped it, and they were like, I guess we're done with that. Like, throw a slant. It's man coverage. The corner's 10 yards off of your
Someone's going to win.
Yeah, come on, man. So I'm just going to go with Miami. I don't really care who the quarterback is, frankly, because I think both of them are better than what Zach Wilson can bring.
Who is the quarterback for the Dolphins? I mean,
they said Tua wasn't healthy enough to start, and then he comes off the bench and then he's throwing darts. He's throwing darts on RPOs. He threw his longest, in terms of air yards, his longest pass attempt in his NFL career against Baltimore, because Baltimore's pass defense is just terrible. We've talked about that consistently here, but I'm taking Miami. I don't care about who the quarterback is, because the quarterback on the opposite sideline is probably Zach Wilson, and he's not playing very well this year. So
that's great. You're picking the Dolphins here. We've mentioned the Jets being the worst team in the league. I'm getting action on the actual worst record team in the league. I'm going with the Lions plus 10 at the Browns. I can't believe I'm doing this again. I've talked myself in the line several times this year, and it still holds true. Jared Goff is extremely limited, yada, yada, yada. We know that. They do have a preference to run the ball, which the Browns, as we've seen in a few games, Patriots, Chargers, not the greatest at stopping the run. I think this Lions team, they play tough. It's more like, no, I don't think they can win, but I could think they can, throw some punches in there, maybe a gadget play in there, keep it close, bite some kneecaps. And I just think the Lions team that competes, they could do enough against the Browns offense. Hopefully Chubb's out, but against this Browns offense we've seen this passing tech now. It's like, it's so reliant on screens and play action. It is like as training wheels as possible at this point. So I don't think they can threaten the Lions defense as much as a team that maybe has a bunch of good one-on-one winners and a quarterback that can throw those. So I'm going to go with the Lions plus 10, muck it up, make it ugly, stay in there, hang in there, come out with another tie. That would be great. But anything of that sort, I'm going with the Lions plus 10.
I thought about that one for a second. The one thing that I would want to know, what's the weather? Because I actually do think, like, Jared Goff in the weather, we've seen it so many times in his career now that it's a real thing. He can't do it. It goes back to his first year at California. He played in Autzen, and they had to pull his butt in, like, the first quarter. Because he fumbled, like, 3 times in the rain.
Because it was, like, misty, and it was just like,
He just can't. He can't play in the rain. We saw this against, who was it earlier in the year? Was it Green Bay? No, it
might have been.
There was some weather game where it was like, oh my God, Jared Goff, he simply cannot throw in the rain. And then
the ultimate California quarterback.
He had like 30 passing yards like at one point in like in the fourth quarter. Like, what are we doing here?
I know. Oh.
If you're the Lions, do you make a quarterback switch? I don't even know who their backup quarterback is because Tim Boyle's on IR. So I don't know who their third guy. I think it's David Blau. Okay. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of David Blau.
Just run around, do some shit. Just run around.
How about different? Just different. Yeah, like maybe not better, but different, right?
Different. Yes, it's a different flavor.
My last game before the pick of the week: Pittsburgh at the Los Angeles Chargers -4. The Chargers need a win. That offense is still pretty good. I know a lot of people early on were like, "Hey, let's rag on Justin Herbert."
Talk about Justin Herbert.
And then Justin Herbert just makes them eat their words, in the second half. Like, Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. Settle down, guys.
Yes. It's done now. Like, there's no debate now. Like, it's just more about, like, oh, the stats are going to follow. Like, that's all it is. Like, even if right now he's, like, top 6 and everything. So it's eye test and stats already there, so I don't know what we're doing.
And he's young. And he has a pose. Like, come on.
And he can run. Yeah, I know.
The big thing,
for another day.
Again, Chargers, right? They can't stop the run. Pittsburgh has kind of been struggling all year with the run anyway. So I kind of think like the one weakness that the Chargers have, I guess like their biggest weakness, not necessarily their one weakness, but their biggest weakness isn't something Pittsburgh necessarily can take advantage of. That interior offensive line hasn't been great overall. They have a very young offensive line in general. Their quarterback situation obviously is pretty weird. Like Ben, didn't play this last week. So I'm just going to roll with the Chargers here. I'm going to take the 4 points. I'm going to assume that Herbert's going to be able to outgun Roethlisberger because if it does get to like shootout territory too, hey man, I don't think Roethlisberger has enough in the tank. And if Mason Rudolph for whatever reason is starting that game, he doesn't bring anything to the table. He's not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry.
Watch that Steelers-Lions game. It was like the one takeaway was both teams are going to need a quarterback. It's like, but they need a new quarterback next year. That was like the number one takeaway I got from that game.
All right, you ready for our picks of the week?
I think I am.
All right, so this week I'm trying something new. I'm gonna choose my own team this week. I'm going with the Patriots.
Love it.
This week should have went along with Nate last week because he was right. But anyways, I really like what I'm seeing from the Patriots, especially from yesterday's game. Mac is looking really good. He just continues to show improvement every single week. It looks like he's found the Patriots, as a whole have found their chemistry. Mac is just throwing bullets. He's looking strong, and I love what I'm seeing. So, Patriots -6 this week.
That's a great way to put it. They have like found a formula that works for them. It's been funny to watch over the last couple of weeks. It's like, okay, they tweak a little bit more every week, but Justice already mentioned this, but my pick of the week is the Saints plus 1.5 at the Eagles. Basically, everything that Justice said, I agree with. I have no idea what to make of this Eagles team. I agree with what Kayla said. Jalen Hurts has been playing better. He can at least give him a chance, this Eagles team, because he can run around with his legs.
He's warranting the reps. Like, there's no question anymore.
It's not like Goff. You know what I mean? It's like
no.
Exactly. It's like with Hurts, it's like, okay, we got something here. Like, or we can work with something. But this Eagles unit, they are built in the trenches. Like their offensive line has been playing really well. They're learning to run the ball. The thing is, the Saints defense is actually good, and they're rugged up front, and they do a lot of crazy stuff on third down. I would say crazy, but they do stuff on third down, which they're disciplined. It's not like a crazy chaos, and then Jalen Hurts is going to break contain and run for 20 yards. I actually think they'll keep him and have a nice game plan for him. And then everything Justice said about the Saints offense, yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. Even with the Saints D-line being good, the back end's not very good, and they run basic coverages, soft coverages. It's all the Drew Brees and Sean Payton stuff. They love to run the ball. Like, they will find ways to run the ball and manipulate fronts. So I trust, just like Justice said, I trust Sean Payton, that staff, to figure out what their flavor is this week and pound away at it. Saints plus 1.5.
My pick of the week, I was shocked at this line. I don't understand what this line is, and I'm kind of offended that Nate didn't take this game at any point. He had 4 shots to take this game, did not take an opportunity for it. Dallas plus 2.5 at Kansas City. What?
I've stayed away from this game.
Kansas City, what the hell is going on? Kansas City they were like 1 game away from having to like basically start their playoff run, in November because they were on like elimination territory. Dallas blew the hell out of Atlanta. Dak looks like he's a legitimate MVP candidate. I don't understand this line at all. I would have assumed that this was going to be Dallas like minus 3.5 or something like that. I don't understand where they're getting these extra 6 points from. I'm taking Dallas. Dallas is one of the best teams in the league. I think it's them. The Rams, obviously the Rams-Titans game was weird. Like Stafford just basically spotting them 2 touchdowns was kind of odd.
Same with the Cardinals game. The same thing happened there. It was like fluke at the beginning, and it was like, oh, there goes that.
Yeah, but they're one of the more.
Complete.
I'm not allowed to say those words anymore. After I said the Raiders and Browns were the more complete teams in the AFC, and they got the crap beaten out of them last week. But Dallas is a great team. Kansas City's lost a lot of ball games. I know everyone sees, last week, and they're like, hey, Kansas City is back. We got to remember, like, they struggled for, like, 2.5 months already up to this point. I'm taking Dallas. I'm not looking back. If they mess this up, I'm just not going to be able to win.
Mike McCarthy did it again for you.
Yeah. Oh, the ghost of Mike McCarthy just haunting me. Yeah, but I'm taking Dallas. Unfortunately, a giant McCarthy fan this weekend.
Awesome.
Well, that's all that we have for this week. Week 11, Beat the Odds NFL edition. We will catch you guys next week.